Do you know what it's like to live with a disability every day, but no one around you even realizes it? Well, that's what living with RA feels like. Every day, you are dealing with multiple complications in so many different areas. You have mobility issues, you have joint swelling and pain, fatigue, fevers, all of this stuff's going on. And then you have everyone around you doesn't understand it. And then they give you really silly advice or really strange empathetic statements. This is going to be a very raw and honest conversation. I'm going to do as minimal editing as possible because I just want to share my heart and share what's been going on. Last week, I went to hear a motivational speaker because if you're new to the channel, you may not realize, but I live in the area where Hurricane Helene came through in North Carolina. And so our community has been through a lot. And so this lady came to our area last week to speak. And she is disabled and is in a wheelchair. She suffered a major stroke. Her story has been inspiring for a lot of people. And so I thought, well, that would be a really good one for me to hear because I had to purchase a wheelchair last year. That was a big mistake, going to hear her speak, because have you ever heard the phrase that some people are speaking from scars and some people are speaking from wounds? In this particular situation, she was speaking from scars, whereas for me, I have like a gaping wound that's very fresh and new for me to have a disability. For most people sitting in the room who do not have a disability, they probably found her story very inspiring. But for me, it was very emotional. Like, I had to distract myself so many times during her speech, like taking a sip of water or getting a piece of gum out of my purse because I'm like, this is so hard for me to hear. And I actually made it to my car and then I was crying before I left the parking lot. It was so bad. And I'm not going to tell her name in this because I don't want like her to feel bad in any way if she ever knows like that this happened to me. But I just wanted to share with you because it highlighted so much for me, like this experience, hearing her story compared to mine about living with an invisible disability is super hard because I believe, number one, it's because the name doesn't match the disease. So when you say it to somebody, they think it's as simple as osteoarthritis, and it's not. And I've heard so many people say, like, I'm too young to have this, even though you can be born with it. It's just so many like random comments or random suggestions instead of like truly understanding what's going on. What I've realized too over the last year as this has like unfolded, there's still so many people in my life, either friends or family, that still don't understand what I'm going through or what this is, unless they've actually seen me in the wheelchair personally, which not very many people have. So if you haven't seen that and you just see me like on a particular day, maybe I have my cane, maybe I don't. And then they assume that because I don't have my cane, oh, you must be doing better. Oh, I'm so glad. And it's like, no, give me an hour, give me a couple days. I could be right back where I was. And I'm not trying to like paint this horrible picture like that I don't have any type of like cycle of positive thinking. I do. That was what my last video was about, was that you need to change your mindset. But I mean, sometimes you have to live in reality. You have to face reality. You cannot deny the fact that this is a very disabling disease. And again, not everyone experiences it the same way. I mean, that's another thing that's so hard to explain, is the variability between one person and another. It's huge, but also the variability that I experience personally. It's like up and down all the time, like all over the place. I'm actually so frustrated with people that don't get that, and then they just make these comments, and it's so annoying. What this all boils down to is being misunderstood. So one huge thing about her story that was contrast to mine was that when she had her stroke, they were a part of a church community and they really came around them. They were actually at the hospital praying with her husband. And that was a huge contrast to what I was dealing with. When I got diagnosed with RA, I was by myself. I had to drive an hour and a half to a different town to see a doctor that could see me sooner. And then I had to drive an hour and a half back, and I was completely alone. And we do have a church community. And when we told them about it, it was like it just fell on deaf ears, like, oh, we'll be praying for you, and that's it. And then they see me with a cane and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I guess it's getting worse. Yeah, it is. Why don't you ask? Why don't you like actually want to help and pray with us? And I get it. Like, I know there's so many different people that watch my videos, and I just want you to know, if you are anti-church, anti-religion, it's fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'd love to hear your comments. if you are in a church community and you've never had any bad experiences or never experienced church hurt, or maybe your community did come around you and is still coming around you in prayer, then that is wonderful. I actually lived in a bubble like many years ago where I was in a church community and nothing ever happened that was bad. And I just lived in a bubble and it was like this wonderful world. But the reality is that's what happened to me. And it was complete opposite of this lady's story. And so here she's sharing about like how wonderful it was that all these people came around them and the support that they had. Well, I had the opposite. And again, you could chalk it up to the fact that they don't know what RA is, or it could be that they just want to see that, oh, we prayed for you and you got better. Oh, that's miraculous. It's almost like they don't want to hear that, oh, we prayed for you and nothing happened and you're getting worse. Oh, well, I don't know. That's just my take on it. It's very frustrating. It's like I don't really know what their reasoning is. It could be because, everybody has problems in their life, so they're like, that's just too, like, your problems are too overwhelming for me, so I'm just going to do my thing, you do your thing. I don't know, but that's not what it's supposed to be. That's just hard. Like when you hear somebody else having like such a radically different experience than what you have had when it comes to disability. Have you ever felt this way too, that it's like nobody really sees you? They don't understand it. It's invisible. They don't know. And I mean, even in times when I don't have my cane with me and I'm walking fine, that doesn't mean I can stand for hours or bend over and pick up stuff or go volunteer at my daughter's school. I can't do that. So even though I may look like I'm an able-bodied person, I'm technically not. And that's, it's just the invisibility of it. Another thing that's frustrating is we're either shoved into the arthritis camp, like, oh, you just have arthritis, or we're shoved in the autoimmune camp, like, oh, you just need to take a medicine and you'll feel better. It's like, no, we are in both. Like, this affects our mobility, and it's more than just autoimmune, and it's more than just arthritis. Nobody actually sees the full picture of what we're dealing with. And then people assume that if I'm not visibly struggling, like I'm not in a wheelchair or a cane, that I must be fine. And that's also not true. So, rheumatoid arthritis, RA, is real and it is disabling. And maybe you can share this video with someone that just doesn't get it and doesn't understand about the social interactions or the invisibility or the variability that we go through. And the fact that so few people understand it or even know what it is exhausting. It's emotionally draining. What if you were a cancer patient and you're losing all of your hair? And people give you the most ridiculous advice, like, have you tried Rogaine to regrow your hair? Or maybe they give you a empathetic statement like, my hair is thinning too. Or they completely ignore you or think, oh, you're fine. You already went for your treatment. Oh, you're fine now. Look at you. You're fine. It's like, no, that's because the general public knows what cancer is and they know what cancer treatments do to you. And so therefore, this is what you're struggling with. But imagine going through life where you're going through all of this and no one gets it. So I would love to hear your experience. I know I kind of like dropped the bomb when it comes to like the whole church thing. And I know everyone's on a different spectrum when it comes to that. And I just want you to know it's okay. You can tell me and give me your opinion on whatever spectrum you're on. That's perfectly fine. I'd love to hear it. And let me know if you struggle with the invisibility. I mean, it could be with people in your own household that are completely oblivious to what you're going through. That is a huge struggle. And again, I'm just waiting for someone to give me a comment when I park in my handicap space. I am just waiting for it. I just know that these weirdos are out there that just want to like make a comment to you because you don't visibly look like you need the handicap spot. I don't really know what I'm going to say to them. What do you say to them? I know that like people do this, but I just want to have like a really good strong comeback. Like, you jerk, you don't even know. I have this for a reason. I know this video is like all over the place and emotionally charged. This is what we go through. This is honest, raw conversation, real life, what we go through. It's a pain in more ways than one. So please share this video with someone that you know that maybe doesn't get it, and hopefully they can understand a little bit more. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the support that you give me and your wonderful comments. I mean, even from the very beginning, someone early on like highly suggested that, oh, I think you need to get a walker, get one of those rollerators. I don't even know what they're called. But anyway, I just appreciate all of you and thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you in the next video.